Greetings, comrades.
How are you?
Yeah, greetings, comrades. It's a pleasure to have you around. We want to see if you're getting up, standing up for your right. Don't give up fight. Life is your right. Wow. It's a crazy day and a good day to start this Saturday meeting. And it's a pleasure to see you all around, sisters and brothers from where you're joining us. Revolutionary greetings once again. This is Consciousness Study Group. We are the philosophical and ideological study group. Actually, we study the philosophy for liberation, unification, and development of Africa by OCJF Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. It's a pleasure to have you around. Today we are hosting a session on the youth rising, what's going on, or what's the way forward, and the youth standing up for their rights. And we advise them not to give up the fight because the fight has been long and it's been so long we've been fighting and fighting and fighting. Where are we heading as a continent? Are the young people ready to finish the fight at last? So thank you very much for all of you who have joined us. Greetings, Sister Ida, Sister Tapua, Raspala, we have Comrade Guzi, Sister Sharen joining us. Revolutionary greetings for all of you from wherever you're joining us. It's a pleasure to see you around. Kelly, unmute yourself. Say hi to us and let us know what's going on from wherever you are. Sister Ida. Sister Ida, greetings.
Greetings to you. I'm in London, and at the moment, I can't believe how sunny it is for this time for 7 o'clock at night. But it's lovely. It's been a cloudy day, then a sunny day, and at the moment, it's very sunny. So, what can I tell you about what's been going on? We've had a lot of scare tactics over the last week. Like from Wednesday onwards, there were meant to be all these national fronts meetings and stuff like that, but most of them ended up not being in London, and instead there were lots of people standing up against them and saying, trying to put an end, well, not put an end to racism because you can't do that, but trying to tell them to get on their bike. So it's been interesting. Thank goodness not as nasty as everybody thought it might be. So that's my news on London and Britain. Thank you.
Don't give up the fight. We must just put an end to racism. No matter what it takes, the fight must be won.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, let's keep fighting. So let me get other members joining. Sister Tapua was out again. Ras Pala from South Africa. Greetings, comrade. What's going on in the South African or south part of Africa? General Anunnaki.
Yes, son of the day.
Yes.
Blessed, my Lord.
Blessed.
Yes, my Lord. Hey, no, man, in South Africa, to be specific, hey, we have this huge Nigerian South African problem, which is uprising between the citizens because of the alleged fraud that happened surrounding that black child who was entering. Now she has dropped out, and now Nigeria wants to put her in the Nigerian pageant, but now the Nigerian girls who are already practicing are also complaining that she can't just jump them. It's another mass social engineering, but I can see why it's happening because you still have that issue that the ANC has not come to bring back that what is this 95 Libyan people who are training here in South Africa doing, and was it the first time these things happen in South Africa? That means South Africa is compromised in terms of its security whatsoever. And then the last issue we have in here is the issue of this GNU and Kelenzile belittling other political parties who are in the GNU and saying that the GNU is just ANC and D. So there's a lot of things, my friend, but let me end it here for now. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Raspala. Tell the people of South Africa and the young people of South Africa to rise up and stop and put an end to xenophobic attacks We are Africa. African beauty know no borders. The beauty of Africa was there before the colonial border. So why should African beauty and African sisters and brothers respect the borders in terms of beauty? Beauty is blind. Beauty has no territory. Beauty doesn't say these are Nigerian beauty or South African beauty. Beauty is African beauty. So let them respect that and put an end to xenophobic attack. Send that message to our brothers and sisters, know that African beauty cannot be stopped in any border or in any territory. Africa beauty is Africa beauty, not a country beauty. Sister
Yeah,
Tapua,
true, my lord, on that. You see, EFF is standing on that policy, but it's getting into trouble now. And so is other celebrities who supported this issue of borderless Africa. Hey, they are getting into trouble. They are losing money, and some people are stopped buying their brands. Hey, it's just chaos, my brother. But I hear you, me personally. Yes, I.
yes, I good thanks, comrade. Sister Tapua, welcome, brother Kwame. Sister Tapua
Thank you.
from Zimbabwe, let us know what's going on there. I know the SADC meeting was almost coming to an end. I'm aware that the South Africa are trying to help the peace in Congo. What's going on, sister?
Right. I think the preliminary meetings for the SADC, the SADC meetings are going on, but there's quite a show of force from government because they've been going around the townships with huge armored cars and police and riot squads and cars. Political party leaders have been threatening people, saying if you go out into the streets to try and show us up, we will deal with you in front of the guests and we'll deal with you afterwards. And they've also been dissenting voices, particularly on WhatsApp, urging people not to get out of their homes on, I think, starting 16th August as a sign of protest, that no one should move, no shops should open and all that, because people have been stopped from gathering because the government is scared if people gather, they will protest. And music shows, and in Zimbabwe, it's we call it the Heroes Weekend, starting from yesterday until Tuesday. So gatherings of large numbers of entertainment type have been prohibited. So it's just tension everywhere.
Their days are numbered. Their days are numbered. The neo-colonial days are numbers. They cannot put us in fears just not to come out to protect themselves. One day they'll go down. One day they must go down, and the fight must continue. Because it's very surprising that a country is actually locking their people just for their same black brothers and sisters to meet in a country in Africa. That's very shameful.
Yes. Yes. And even the 70-something who were arrested because they were celebrating June 16, they're still in prison, including the woman with the baby is still in prison. And yet there's been a video going around with our president saying he's a constitutionalist. He wants to follow the constitution to the T. It's all playing up to shush his image up because he's done for. I mean, you can't have a country where political prisoners and are being put behind bars without trial. Their trials are postponed for a long period of time just to outmaneuver them and make them tired. It's a sad situation, but nothing goes on forever. Because if you're bringing out an army against your own people to try and put them in line, that says a lot. That also says the extent to which they're scared.
Yeah, it's very bad to arrest a woman and a kid in prison, really. That shouldn't be entertained. So it's a black brothers and sisters, the so-called colonial purpose, arresting their fellow mothers with kids in prison. Really? That's all. That's serious. So, Sister Tapu, I think the youth of Zimbabwe must also raise up now, and it's the time now we must combine a continental effort to fight these new colonial governments through their puppets in Africa, because that regime really need to be fought hardly and need to be brought down, because it's time for the Babylonian system to go down. From my say, that's what I can say.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sister Tapua, for that information from Zimbabwe. Let's get to Sister Shireen. Sister Shireen. Greetings, sister, from wherever you're joining us. Kindly feel free to new members who have joined us. This is our first part of our sessions where we take at least updates from the continent regarding to assess the level of Africa liberation, unification, and development. We really want to know the forces at play so that we can analyze where is the continent moving, because our key goal is Africa unification, liberation, and development. So this helps us to be in touch with the ground and know what's going on. Yes, come back, Sister Shireen. Is your turn? Sister Shireen?
Brother Pigeon? Yes, hi, Brother Pigeon. Sorry, I just had to do something with my daughter. Okay, so I think it's Sister Ida touched on the the attacks that we know exist. I'm not surprised at all by what's been happening. I was just waiting to see when it would happen, really. But a lot of people are in shock, and they're also referring back to the racism. I think it was there was a report that was done during COVID, probably around 2 or 3 years ago. I've forgotten what the brother was called. His name will come back to me, where the government, which was like the Conservative government at the time, they commissioned the report, and the report results showed that Britain wasn't racist. But obviously, with all of the events that have been happening, I think by speaking to a lot of people, some people, as I said, are in shock, horror as to the events that are unfolding. But it also just
Okay, Sister Shireen, I think she went off and she's back again. So, Sister, can you work on your audios and then you can come back later? I'll give you a chance to share your updates as you come back. Brother Igunzi, let me kindly admit yourself, introduce yourself, and let us know what's going on from wherever you are, and probably let us know where you are joining us from. Brother Igunzi? Or Comrade Igunzi?
Yeah. Greetings, sir. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, this is Igunzi, patient passive base. I'm from DRC, DR Congo, especially in Kinshasa, the capital city. It's a great pleasure for me to be connected to this conscientism and Pan-African movement. It's a pleasure for me, thanks to Brother Lee from USA, and I need to be in the WhatsApp group too. Okay. In fact, here in Congo, the issue is the Eastern Congo situation of crisis and human security crisis, the conflict and war, whereby some leaders of the African nations, especially Rwanda and Uganda troops, they're attacking the Congo land since 1994. This is the situation in Goma. I am firstly coming from the eastern part of the country, Goma, where I visited the displaced people refugee camp. Again, we happened to meet this camp that gathers more than 2 million people who are displaced from their places. This is the situation, and the rebel movement that is ongoing, creating these atrocities, these scourges, is called M23 movement, supported by Paul Kagame government. And it is worth mentioning that there is a difference between the Rwandan people, population, and Kagame government regime. There's a difference between these puppets on power and the true Pan-African, the true African nation, tribes, and people who were united since the creation of the world and before the arrival of colonizers, were still using neocolonialism in order to control their the governing system of our nation. So this is the situation in Congo. But we, as young revolutionaries, we have celebrated on the 2nd of August the Genocost, the genocide of coast, whereby we can see these neighbor countries, they're using the land of Congo, they're killing the people of Congo in order to exploit minerals, and they are not coming to fight and I don't to occupy only, but they are mostly coming to take the richness, the properties, and they're killing their brothers and sisters, especially women who are raped, and the children who are living in the worst condition. More than 6 million people killed since 1994, and if you take the number of people killed by Belgians, Leopold II, this went to up to 13 million people who were mutilated in order to take a rubber. So this is the situation. Insecurity. When there is no peace, there is no development. There is no Pan-Africanism, unity, and solidarity. Thank you.
Greetings once again. Thank you for that update, because actually Congo is the center point of Africa, and Kwame Nkrumah said it very clear that Congo is the center of Africa. And Congo is like the mother of Africa and the engine of Africa. It's very saddening that this issue of Congo has been going on for long and long and long. In fact, I'm aware of the efforts by the Nairobi Peacekeeping Commission or Nairobi Peacekeeping Mission that failed, and I'm seeing the South Africans and the Kinshasa, or is it there's a team coming in with a new peace mission, and I read the reports that at least it appearing to be a peacekeeping mission that might bear some fruits for the people of Congo. Despite of that, the eastern side, I'm aware people are fighting. The soldiers from Congo ran to Uganda, and it was taken over by IM-23. But the saddest thing ever is the black people fighting for the minerals that is in abundance in Africa and ready to kill their brothers and sisters just for that. Well, there's a lot for all of us in Africa and don't have to fight each other. If we just remove these so-called borders in our mind, we can take a lot under beneath Africa for all of us. It is for all of us Africans. It's not for Congo, it's not for Rwanda, it's not for whatever. So we can't reach and shouldn't reach an extent of killing each other just for our mineral resources that you want to take over. Let me get to.
Yeah, can I come in there, Brother Pigeon? Thanks for your continued, shall we say, your continued commentary on the contribution. I just want to say that, just to chip into what you said, that it's not so much that brothers and sisters are killing each other for the minerals. In addition, the killing is going on not because brothers want the minerals so that other brothers don't get it, but it's because the imperialists, those who have invested in the mines and the minerals of Africa, those who have set up those who have the leases and are mining the minerals. It is they who are doing the killing through the Africans. So it's so, in as much as the Africans must be held responsible for making themselves instruments of killing, let's also keep an eye on those who are sponsoring the killing and who have put our resources in their stock exchanges. And Brother PG, remember you did a presentation for us on the minerals of Africa and how a few companies in the London Stock Exchange, the value of those companies are actually, the basis of their values are our minerals in Africa, in the grounds of Africa. So I just thought I would add that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, brother Kwame. Thank you for that. Let's get to Chief. Chief, kindly admit yourself and let us know your official name so that we can change it for purpose of just identity. But kindly admit yourself, introduce yourself, and let us know from where you're joining us and what's going on there. Chief, if you can. Okay.
Chief has left.
Yeah, I think he decided to
Either
leave.
Chief has left or her internet is having problems. So
okay, thank you. Sister Myra, anything from Uganda or UK, please feel free to share it with us.
No, sorry, there's no news in Uganda. Thank you.
No news in Uganda, really?
No, it's just the same old elections are coming up in 2026, but we're all, it's only in Africa where we can tell the future because we already know who's going to be the president again and again. So just mediocrity has taken the place of real politicking. So it's really nothing. Just
has
depressing.
managed to silence the young people.
Absolutely, yes.
I see.
So
the young people in Uganda are not as brave as the Kenyans.
No,
they're afraid to die.
Because there's a lot. He's a clever man. He's a cunning man, and a lot of the opposition is just controlled opposition. You see, and it's corrupted every corner of the political scene.
But the young people in Kenya is not the opposition, is it? It's the young people.
It's a different situation.
What are the young people
in Kenya, what I observed is that the young people are very educated on their civics and on their politics. In Uganda, the education system has been eroded completely. Civics and political education are not in the syllabus anymore. The syllabus has been so watered down that it's just to churn out workers. That's after the capitalist system.
So I must add, Sister Tamara said, the pigeon, that in Ghana, the young people also called a demonstration, and let's say nobody turned up. Thank you.
We have a lot of work to do. Kenyan case is not successful anyway. We're still on trial, but I think we need to have a continental coordinated effort on how we can push this forward. There's a potential in the younger people, but we need to see how we actually mobilize and all do everything it takes to support and help, because this is a struggle for the continent. I know there are a lot of people trying. The only successful case we'll be saying now is maybe the Bangladesh youth who decided now to chase away the president completely. We know the Nigerians are struggling, the Kenyans are struggling, and this is what we'll be discussing as we come to our presentation in later time. But thanks for that contribution, and we'll have to access all this because it's going to be an open conversation where we access and look at situations on a philosophical angle, ideological angle, and from all the angles that are necessary. So let me get to Sister Shaza. Sister Shaza, welcome. Any update from your side, sister? Sister Shaza? Okay. Okay, let me get to Stout. Is it Stuart or Stuart?
Stuart.
It's Stuart. Okay, Stuart. Can you unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and let us know what's going on from wherever you're joining us from? Stuart? Stuart or Stuart, can you unmute yourself? I know you are unmuting, muting.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Actually, I'm not on the continent right now. I'm with an African organization called the All African People's Revolutionary Party, based out of Guinea-Conakry.
AAPRP.
Yeah.
Yes, brother.
Yeah, so I've been around for a while, but I've been struggling for the good part of my life to relocate to the continent, but have not made it there yet. But try to follow things, and the organization is working with various groups. But yeah, I'm just here to listen and find out things myself. I did have one question. Listening to the sister talk about Uganda made me wonder the degree to which we are organizing our youth into study circles, so that when we go above ground to protest and make these open acts of resistance to colonial oppression.
We are not.
Yes.
The answer is we're not. There
Okay.
aren't There aren't ideological and philosophical youth study groups, as there was, as you would know from the history, in the 50s and 60s, where we had groups like NASO, the National Association of Socialist Student Socialist Organization, and such student groups. Our universities, I am not aware of universities organizing study groups so people can study philosophy, ideology related to the concrete conditions of the continent, related to the experiences of the people that are in that territory, and then come out with what to do after analyzing the state of mind of our people. And our youth are asleep, unfortunately, and it is, if I may say so, the fault of we, the parents, who haven't been in receipt of the freed Africa, the colonial territories that we freed post-colonialism, have failed to use the word of Kamala Harris to prosecute the matter. So other people may disagree with me, but I am not aware of any serious study groups on the continent to answer your question, Brother Stewart.
Okay.
But people like Brother Pigeon are helping to get that that sorted. Our brother who lived a long time here with us here in the UK, Brother Glenroy, he's with us now. He is also now in Zanzibar, also attempting to start something there. So there is something happening, but we are not aware of any serious philosophical and ideological study groups. Therefore, Brother Stewart, if you are happy to join hands with us to begin to move to the universities across the continent and see if we can set up study groups within the universities, that will be wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with that. And we've been trying for many years. Myself, I've been in the AAPRP for 40 years now. And we've had various different programs to have exchange groups on different parts of the continent and things like that. And some of our members have gone into different parts of the continent, into Zimbabwe, into Kenya, into Ethiopia, into Ghana, into Liberia, and places like that. So, yes, that's something that I hope we can work on. We're actually trying to build we're trying to build an archive of all of the political works of the Pan-Africanist leaders, so that we can start to disseminate them and have people actually study them, so they'll know the history when they go back and try to fight against these leaders who claim now that they were against, colonialism, when we found out later on that they've been, puppets of colonialism all along, and we don't know the history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brother Stewart, just so everybody here is aware, the organization that Brother Stewart belongs to, the AAPRP, was the initiative of Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and it was set up as a global organization to mobilize Africans for the next phase of the struggle, which Nkrumah had arrived at. Initially, as you know, Ghana got independence not through war, unlike Algeria, Mozambique, the southern states, like our brothers and sisters in Southern Africa, in the West, in West Africa, especially in Ghana, we got independence through the ballot box, as it were, not through the barrel of the gun. And so it was thought that we could get independence across the continent without war, without armed struggle. And at some point, Nkrumah came to the conclusion that the armed phase of the fight for unification of Africa had arrived. And so the AAPRP was part of that initiative to mobilize an army that will prosecute that armed phase of the struggle. And as we know, Nkrumah was overthrown and poisoned, and he died. And so that part of the work then, as it were, went to sleep. And as we know, the armed struggle that raged in Southern Africa. You remember Mugabe and others. Mugabe came from Ghana, trained in Ghana, had a Ghanaian wife, returned to what was then Rhodesia, and they went into the bush, just like the Mau Mau did. They went into the jungle and they fought for the liberation of the land. Anyway, I'm just saying that for those of us who don't know, this is, Brother Stewart is part of this history, 40 years, and they are still there. They are still with us. They haven't given up. You know, so Brother Pigeon and you, the young people, we need to get you guys to really get to grips with what needs to be done. You know, and let's start with study. You see, Brother Stewart said study groups, because that is where it starts. It starts with studying. We have to study and study. In fact, the CPP, the Convention People's Party of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, was the only party initially that made party education a part of party mechanism. No party was interested in educating the people. In the same way as Julius Malema does in South Africa, that Julius Malema's modus operandi of continuously educating the people, that was the Osagyefo way. That was the Nkrumah way. That's the consensusism way. You know, it's lifelong learning. I could go on and on. And parents, mothers, fathers, those of you who are from Ghana will bear witness. Went to evening schools. They went to work after work. They went to school because they couldn't read and write. They went to school to study, to read, to know how to write. You know, so that all that has gone to sleep. You know, Marcus Garvey, remember, all this is from Marcus Garvey. Remember, Marcus Garvey is telling us that, look, whenever you have 5 minutes, read a book. Marcus Garvey said, carry a book with you everywhere you go. And when you have 10 minutes, read. Sit in a bus. I'm in the UK here. Sit in the bus and see how many black people are even reading. We're not reading. We're not studying. Anyway, let me pause there.
Yeah, Brother Kwame, I'm afraid you have joined the spirit of the conversation already, because that's where we are heading. But thank you, Brother Stuart, and I think it will be very important to connect with you. I've already shared the book in the chat, which is the Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare, where Nkrumah actually explained into further length on the ARPP, the People's Revolution Warfare, how to organize it, and actually how to look at it. Because I also felt somehow in Kenyan setup that we are reaching in a place where we must start the study of Handbook for Revolutionary Warfare on how we have to prepare in all ways, because we are facing a system that is so oppressive and very serious to us. But let me keep that for the conversation, because it's like you're joining the conversation. We have around 5 minutes to join the conversation, so we'll catch up as we start the conversation. Allow me to get also update from Sam Moshau, who has also been in the struggle for longest time possible from South Africa. Brother Sam, get us update from what's going on in South Africa, the Pan-African people, the Pan-African movement of Azania, and anything in regards to this liberation unification.
Thanks, and good evening, brothers. Brother Pigeon, I just wanted to ledge on the discussion that just went by now to our brother. I didn't hear the name because I joined late, but maybe he will find a soothing. That is not that much, but it's just the beginning where the APRP South Africa chapter, where Professor John Trimble and us, the PAC and the Liberation Movement of Swaziland and AZAPO, the Azanian People's Organization, have started to rally the university students around the Africa Day. And the idea is that we must bring the students back into the fold in this manner. But as I say, it is just the beginning. We have done it the 2 consecutive years now, and the chapter in Zimbabwe, the chapter of APRP in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, in the various universities, the University of Pretoria, University of Cape Town, and so forth in other parts of Africa, are joining in to do students lectures and try to bring them into the fold. I think this year we had a very good, successful turnout, and we also started to go even lower to the secondary schools. This year in South Africa, through the chapters here in Africa, and I think in Kenya there's also the same thing happening. We started giving them these high schools essays that they must write about Pan-Africanism and the struggle of the African people. And we hope this will grow. And maybe what our brother is envisaging or reminiscent of our past will start in that fashion. So we would like to really push this as we go. But in South Africa, there's nothing much. I think the past week we have spoken about that. The only thing that is new, and it's related with the previous activity that we reported, where a Libyan, so-called Libyan military training camp, it was discovered in Mpumalanga that other week, and now this past week, a similar base with a cache of arms was found in the northern side now of South Africa, in Limpopo, and investigations are still going on. They didn't find any person there, but in a similar setup of the previous base. So we are worried in South Africa about this latest development. Thanks.
Pigeon, can I just make a comment from Brother Sam's contribution on students? And Brother Pigeon, question. In the Gen Z's uprising, did university students take part?
In fact, the first uprising was headed by the university. They are the Gen Zs who are in the street.
So the university students are part of it?
Yeah, the University of Nairobi, the biggest university, is within the CBD of the city. So that's where most of the students come out from.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I really think that we need to look into this seriously, because you see, the revolution in Bangladesh is purely the students. It's purely the students' union that actually removed the leadership. And we have history of Kenyan Student Union coming in 1982 during the coup in the second liberation of 1992 to the student and the student leadership, especially the University of Nairobi having been seen as being the center of the city. They even think like they should remove it from the CBD. Nairobi has almost 6 main big universities that have a bigger population. So that's been a big issue there. But okay, I see time is running, brother Kwame. I think it's because this conversation is also part of what you're discussing in the next phase. Permit me just to take some few updates from the members present. Your guidance, please, Chair.
It's another 2 minutes, and then we can start sharing on the situation. I want to share on Bangladesh. I know you mentioned Bangladesh a few times. I want to do a quick tour of the Bangladeshi situation as part of the Gen Zs or the young people or students movement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I had actually listed in our poster 3 sessions and 3 parts. I've requested people from Nigeria to join. I haven't seen any of them joining. If there's anybody from Nigeria here, just let me know. So, but let's take an update from, of course, Sister Minata or Comrade Minata is saying is from Gambia. Pleasure to have you around. Elder Leroy, any update from your side?
No update. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have new comrade here, Comrade Somhalo. Can you introduce yourself? Let us know where you're joining us from, and any update from your side in a minute. In a minute, please.
Not in South African, is it?
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, brother. Yeah. Are you from South Africa, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, I'm from occupied Tanzania.
Yes, I thought so. The name is very South African. Anyway, carry on. Welcome.
Yeah, I am from the pre-trader group, study group, which is Wenyendoto, but I'm based in occupied Tanzania in the Eastern Cape province.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, comrade.
Okay, thank you. So, Brother Kwame, South Africa is coming in large number. We have General here, Sam, and also now a new comrade. Is a very good indication coming forward. So I think Sister Chisomo, a minute please for anything else. Then we are just getting straight to this. And in our next session, starting with Brother Kwame, starting from the Bangladesh.
Yeah, we must hear from Malawi. Sister Chizomo, what is
Yes.
happening in Malawi? There's a lot happening in Malawi.
Sister Chisomo, or are you not able to speak? Let me know.
She has unmuted herself.
Oh, you want me to speak?
Yeah, what's
Hello?
going on?
Yes, Malawi. Tell us about Malawi.
A lot is happening today and yesterday. We've just had the ruling party. They had their convention, elections on party leaders. So it's wiped out all the names that were big in Malawi. A lot of women come in. So we're here to see what the women are going to do in terms of change. And then the opposition have all been cancelling their conventions for to see what these guys are going to do, because remember, it's supposed to be an alliance government, but they have suddenly gone. No, it's just disappeared. It's just one party that's become the ruling party. So we're here to see what's going to happen with the parties.
I don't know if it is my line, but I can't get you just Chizomo very well.
Yeah, I equally can't hear her. I think she need to work.
Line.
No, she need to work on her system. I think she has dropped. And yes, Brother Kwame, I think it's time we go straight to this conversation. And on this conversation, we are looking at the youth uprising or the recent development in the continent. We want to assess the situation, and even also the continent will be taking key studies and key lessons from what Brother Kwame will be explaining to us in Bangladesh. I'll be giving a brief from Kenya. There's a comrade who was to join us in Kenya, but if he joins, it's okay. I'll give time to share this. But you want to check on how is this moving? Because previously the continent witnessed what you call the coups. That was then seen like also revolutionary, trying to change systems up and down and moving some leaders out, like in the West Africa. But now there's a rise of young people coming in. So we really need to assess this and see what is the practicable solutions or activity that we must put in place to sustain the momentum, but beyond that, to ensure that they are successful. Based on experience, knowledge, and everything possible, I think this time we need to craft something that should be a template or a guidance towards sustaining this revolution. And based on experiences and lessons, some of us who have been in the struggles here, many of elders here who have been in the struggle for long, can also share with us what's the best way forward so that we can have our whole continental revolution picking up and trying to see how we can change this system. So back to you, Brother Kwame, as you start us off. Brother Kwame?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry, I thought I had unmuted myself. So what I want to do is just do a quick tour of Bangladesh. Now, what I'm about to share is my interpretation of the events. It's just my interpretation using my training, my philosophical and ideological training in conscientism, and looking at the forces at play, the geopolitical forces at play. And I was interested in Bangladesh because what is happening at Bangladesh is a reflection of what might happen to us, or what is happening to us and what will happen to us. Yeah, so you might completely disagree with me, which is fine. Feel free to disagree with me. It's a conversation, and yeah. So if you want to disagree, that's perfectly okay. We can have a discussion on that. So I will not go through all the slides. I shall go through the main points because we are more interested in discussion. But Pigeon, is my slide clear? Can you see the slide? Okay.
The writing is clear, the picture is not.
Yeah, this picture is not, because it's a light. That's the whole point. That it's not very clear. That's the whole point. So the picture is telling a story, and it's about the other pictures are clear. But if the writing is clear, that's great. So the headings geopolitical dynamics in South Asia, the India, U.S., Bangladeshi or Bangladesh nexus. Now, so that is how I'm looking at it, because what has happened in Bangladesh needs to be looked at very carefully, and I am not convinced that the story they are telling us is the real story. I think the real story is happening behind the scenes, and I am locating the US CIA in what is happening in Bangladesh. I don't think that the head of the Bangladeshi armed forces can just refuse to take orders from the president or the prime minister of Bangladesh. Shekina is her name. Remember, her father is credited with being the founder of Bangladesh, and Bangladesh itself, I believe, was East Pakistan, and Pakistan itself, you remember, was carved out of what was then the Indian Empire, and Lord Mountbatten of the British royal family, if you recall, was the one that helped set up both India and Pakistan. So they carved out India they carved out Pakistan out of India, and then later on, the Muslims couldn't get on well. Pakistan, there was a problem with the Pakistan, so part of Pakistan broke away and formed Bangladesh, and so yeah, so there is a lot of geopolitics in there. If you look at the map of so anyway, so I am Christian, Agbodza, and I am looking at the strategic interests and regional power plays. And as I said, I won't be too long. If you look at the map, I hope you can see the map. Sisada, this must be clear. You can see
Very
that
clear.
Bangladesh is to the right of India, and India itself, her neighbors are Pakistan on the west, Afghanistan to the further left, that is my left, and then to the right top is China. Then where we have Nepal between India and China, and then we have Bangladesh to the right of India, and then after Bangladesh, then we have Burma. And Burma is a military zone. It's a military state. Pakistan is also a military state. Afghanistan, we are not sure, but you can say that it's a rogue state because those running it are not really the army, but they are freedom fighters, however you want to put it. Anyway, China is a communist state. Now, why is this important? The location of Bangladesh is important because Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Pakistan, and Afghanistan are on the border with China. And as you know, China is the strategic competitor. Well, that's what they say, or that's what the US says, of the US. There's a whole history there which we didn't go into. But basically, America does not like China. America does not like the Chinaman because he thinks the Chinese want to take over the world from them. They think that, you see, they think the world belongs to them, you see, and that the world is their football pitch, and they can come and play football there whenever they like. So when somebody else comes onto the pitch, they don't like it. So that's how they see China. And as you know, they recently, China, when China began to trade with Africa, however you want, whether it's trading, giving us loans, however you want to look at it, building railway lines and so on, building football stadia and so on and so forth. By the way, China was in Ghana long before the coup in Ghana. Anyway, now, so America doesn't like it. Okay, doesn't like it one bit. Now, the problem was this: India is afraid of China because India thinks that China wants to dominate that part of the world. Okay, so India, in order for India to keep China in check, India is on the side of the US. The problem for Bangladesh and for Prime Minister Shekina was that she was allied with China. She was on very good terms with China. The Awami Party, that's her party that is in office, was on the best terms with China. In fact, the recent the Silk Road road that China's new initiative, the Silk Belt that the West doesn't like very much. Bangladesh has bought into that. Bangladesh has bought into that. Not India, but Bangladesh has. And so the US has not been very happy with what Bangladesh is doing. Now, however, so this next slide is China. As you can see, that is the Great Wall of China, just telling the borders. And so China and Pakistan are, if you like, are unfriendly neighbors for India, but Bangladesh is a very good neighbor for India, because India, as you know, is a secular state. The only democracy where there has never been a coup. Yes, there has never been a coup in India, even though some African countries also had the same type of army from the British. The British set up the Ghana Armed Forces, what used to be the Ghana Armed Forces, before Nkrumah modernized it. The same British set up the colonial army in what was then India, right? And when Pakistan was set up, they split the army. So Pakistan got part of it, India got part of it. Whereas Pakistan's army has been involved in coup after coup after coup, not one in India. Amazing. It's an example for us. But anyway, so there have been security concerns, border disputes with China. And so as far as India is concerned, it's happy with Bangladesh, even though Bangladesh is on good terms with China. Because as far as India is concerned, all the other neighbors are problematic. In fact, for them, India is even more problematic. Sorry, Pakistan, because Pakistan has nuclear weapons. So India is not happy at all. So they need the US as a backup. So they didn't mind. But then guess what? The US mind very much. They didn't like the fact that Bangladesh was on good terms with China. And so this is what I think. So they sent in the CIA to go and get rid of that woman. And so they worked with the. Please, what I'm saying, I am not. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you how these things work. Not that everybody has told me or I've read it anywhere, but this is my interpretation of what happened. So the CIA went in there and worked with the student groups, and they got the army on their side. So when the prime minister told the army to be ready to shoot protesters, the head of the army refused. He said he wouldn't do it. Now, for the army, for the head of the Bangladesh army to refuse to take orders from the prime minister who reports to the president, you should know, or we should know, that something is going on, and that what is going on is not what we are seeing. So my reading of the situation is that the CIA got involved, got the president on their side, got the students to work for them, and to get rid of the prime minister because of her cozy relations with China. Now, the other party that could be in office is called the BNP, and they are pro-American, whereas the Awami are pro-China. The Awami are not against America, don't get me wrong, but they are pro-China. But the BNP, which is the opposition party, are more pro America than the Awami party. So so that it doesn't look like they are involved, they got their American trained person who they gave the Nobel laureate called Yunus, Mohammed Yunus, I believe his name is. He is known as a guy who gave or set up a bank in Bangladesh that gave small loans to very poor people. And the recovery rate for the loans was 97%, which mainstream banks could not achieve. So it was very successful, lifted people out of poverty. But as far as the Awami party is concerned, that is all just exploitation. Basically, for them, Yunus exploited ordinary people. That's how they see it. Now, but he is the one that has been brought in as the interim phase of the interim government. So the Awami League and China, so the current government led by Sheikh Hasina, as I said, has strong economic political ties with China. And as I was saying before, is participating in China's Belt and Road Initiative. And as you can see, it has implications for India in terms of its relationship with the Awami League and concerns over Chinese influence in South Asia. Yeah, you can say that the US was concerned with Nkrumah's influence on the African continent. And because not only was Nkrumah training freedom fighters, Nkrumah was sponsoring, if you like, coups against, not literally, but coups against other governments, not African governments, but neo-colonial governments. And they didn't like that at all. So when you are increasing your influence in a space where the big dogs, if I may use that term, they will checkmate you, to use a language from sports. So this is what I said happened. So countering China's influence globally and in South Asia was very important for America, and they wanted a pro-American government in Bangladesh, and so they supported opposition figures like Mohammed Yunus, and they used covert operations to influence Bangladesh's political landscape. So what we saw, they are telling us that it was just students that somehow overthrew the government of Bangladesh. Come on. What do they take us for? Children? Come on. We're not going to believe that. That students just, somehow the army refused to shoot students. And then I'm not saying the army should shoot students. Of course, the army should not be shooting its students. But the army just stood by. They did nothing, to prevent students from, getting the prime minister out of the country. Now, come on. Who does that? So these are covert operations. And so I'm saying that the CIA had a role in Bangladesh. And I say so because of my overview of past US interventions in foreign governments. The US, the United States of America, and the Central Intelligence Agency are notorious. They are notorious for killing presidents. They are notorious for removing presidents from office. They are notorious for overthrowing democratic governments. They are notorious for putting in office dictatorships. They are notorious for Everything you think is bad. The American government doesn't do it, itself. It uses its what you call the Black Ops division. The CIA is America's Black Ops. That's what they call it, the Black Ops division of the American government. In other words, what the American government can't do openly, they will do it covertly. And that's what they do. They are everywhere in the world. They are everywhere. They are everywhere. Even when people come to meetings, when you see people in this sort of meetings, like our meetings, and some of them, you'll never know who is working for the CIA. They are everywhere. They are everywhere. I mean, literally, they are in Ghana, they are in Kenya, they are in Uganda, they are in Gambia, they are everywhere. And they have their ears on the ground. And these people are always sending them reports. Goes CIA head office, and then they compile reports. Oh, watch that gentleman. Oh, watch that lady. Oh, watch that movement. Watch that person. Oh, we don't like what they are doing. They are stepping on our toes. Those diamonds, we want those diamonds very much. But these people, oh, no. These people, they are going, oh, what they are doing, it means the diamonds will not get the uranium for our weapons, so we have to do something. That is what the CIA does. It's a criminal organization, if I may put it that way. It's an organization that specializes in human rights violations. That is its job. So, so my reading is.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, you can.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think you're doing very well. I just wanted to add that the CIA, as of the mid to late 70s and going into the early 80s, spun off, or the U.S. government spun off some additional agencies that were designed to do openly what the CIA used to do covertly. Some of these organizations are today called the National Endowment for Democracy. And if you go to their website, you can actually search a database.
Soros group, yeah.
You can go and search the database. Often they publish organizations around the world, and you can list them country by country, the organizations that they fund in each country. The U.S. Agency for International Aid, something like that. I can't remember what USAID stands for, but this is another organization. They do the same thing. And so what they have done, and these organizations came about specifically because of what you're talking about. Because in the 70s, there was a commission that investigated the illegal activities of the CIA. And so the CIA had to, find some other ways of doing what they normally do. And so out of that commission, the government began to fund these other organizations, which are government and privately funded. So the National Endowment for Democracy, USAID, they get the bulk of their funds from the government, but also from the capitalist class, mostly out of the USA, but sometimes in other places as well, who collect these funds, and they go into various parts. I used to do, some studies into Southern Africa and see the hundreds of organizations they have throughout Zimbabwe, South Africa, Namibia, Angola. You can go country by country and list them. And they're funding. And these organizations come out as civic organizations where they are like, maybe local groups that are for, freedom or something, have very innocuous names that you would never think that they're related to CIA. But they are being funded in the same way that the CIA does things. And they're designed to train people to think the way Westerners think and to interpret what's going on in Africa from a Western lens so that our people will then fight for the interest of the West inside of these countries. So when you see a lot of these groups coming up, it's very hard to tell whether or not these are really, genuine grassroots stuff, or is this something being funded by, it's one of these agencies. You have to go look them up.
Yeah, no, Brother Stewart, thank you so much for your addition. So hold your thoughts. So I will just bring my sharing to a close. I didn't mean to share all the slides. Well, I'm on slide 6 now, so only about 3 left. And then Brother Pigeon, I think, also has a presentation on Kenya or something like that. And then we'll open the door for discussion so we can have a discussion, because this is about having a conversation. And as you have confirmed, what I am saying about the CIA is not news. Maybe for some of us it's news, but it's not news. There was a bank set up in the UK called BCCI, the Bank for Credit and Commerce International. It was used by it was set up or used by the secret agencies, MI6, MI5, the CIA, Mossad. All of them used it to do money laundering. That's why it was closed down. In fact, its unofficial term was the Bank for Crooks and Criminals International. That's what it was called. It was known amongst their own circles. Bank. Its official name was Bank for Commerce and Credit International, but the CIA were calling it the Bank for Crooks and Criminals International. Anyway, so I am suggesting that the CIA got involved, and its aim was to destabilize the Awami League government, which is what they've managed to do. And now India is in a dilemma, but India is a small dog, but a big dog. So India has to just follow the American directive, just like Britain. Britain just follows what the US does. When the US says jump, Britain jumps. When the US says sit, UK sits down. You remember when Tony Blair followed George Bush into the war, the war in Iraq? All lies. There were no weapons of mass destruction. They just lied and lied and lied, and Britain just followed like a poodle. They just followed, and that's how. So India is in a very difficult situation. They can't fight the US if the US is saying, yes, we know you are on good terms with Bangladesh, but come on, we don't like the way Bangladesh is sucking up to China. Therefore, we are sorry, but we want that government to go. And so that is what India had to. So India had to let her fly to Indian territory whilst they find a place for her to go. In the meantime, America said, no, we don't want her. After what she's done, and they canceled her visa. So the last time I checked, the UK, as you know, the UK accepts all toppled presidents. And if you are a former spy and you've been kicked out of your country, Britain will accept you. Britain has been a tolerant country for hundreds of years. It doesn't matter who you are. Britain will accept you. That's why this asylum seeking thing has become a problem, because whoever you are, when you are in trouble, the UK will always give you asylum. They'll always give you asylum. There are people who would have been killed in their countries, and this is not new. I mean, UK has been giving shelter to people for years, and the UK is known for that, and that is to her credit, if I may say so, because sometimes where can you run to and be safe? There was a time when the operative of a particular government, I don't want to mention its name, came to the UK to kill people in the UK, and they were stopped by the UK government that you can't do that here. It's not allowed. There was a time, if you remember, this was public. There was a time when the Nigerians sent a covert group to capture a Nigerian man on British streets, and the British wouldn't have that. They stopped the airplane, and they got into the box in which the man had been put, sedated, and put in the box. The UK was having none of that. So I'm saying that to say that the UK is known for opening its arms to criminals and dictators and all sorts of people. So yeah. So anyway, so that is the situation in which we are. So so Bangladesh, I think what will happen is that the Awami League, I don't think will come to power. They may come later, but right now, the students and the army are against them, and the head office of the party has been burnt, as was burnt, if you recall, in Mali, in Niger, the same way people burnt the Bazoum's party headquarters. They burnt it also in Bangladesh. They targeted the properties of party officers and ministers. In Kenya, they didn't burn their property, as far as I know. I may be wrong. They knew that this is your supermarket shop. They know that, but they didn't burn it, as far as I know. But in Bangladesh, some of them were burnt down. And Hindus, by the way, Hindus have been at the receiving end, because Hinduism is able to thrive in Bangladesh because it is a secular state. And Shekina's dad is credited with setting up Bangladesh as a secular state. Secular state meaning that no religion is promoted by the state. But we know that the criminals prefer dictators in office. So, they will prefer an Islamic government in place to suppress the people. America is a strange country. They say they are for democracy, they are for freedom, they are for liberty. And yet every time you look around, they are killing other people, suppressing other people, they are toppling governments and just doing bad things. Candace Owens, if you follow her, says the same thing. Candace Owens says they just thrash you, and yet they say they are for freedom, which is schizophrenic, if you ask me. Anyway, so that is the situation. So the potential outcomes, I think there are two scenarios: that the pro-US government of BNP will come into office. They will find a way of managing the BNP back into office, and either that, or I hear that Shekina wants to go back. I don't know why, but if she manages to go back and wrestles power again, then there'll be continued Chinese influence in Bangladesh. I don't know. We will see what happens. So to summarize, America doesn't like the fact that China and Bangladesh are getting on very well. But China and Bangladesh are getting on very well. But Bangladesh and India get on very, very well. But because America doesn't like the fact that China and Bangladesh are getting on very well, it has stepped in and ordered India to just do as they are told. And so Bangladeshi, the government, the Awami League government of Bangladesh is being removed, so they can replace it with a pro-US anti-China government in Bangladesh. So that is what is happening, and so we can see what is in store for the young people of South Africa, of Africa, who want to topple governments, unless you are the army, like in Mali, Burkina Faso. If you are the army, that's different, But if you're not the army and you are just students without guns and bullets, how are you going to get your way? So that is it. That is me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brother Kwame. I'm really impressed by how you try to belittle the power of the youth.
I belittled it, you said.
Yeah, you said that students cannot overthrow a government.
No, I said in Bangladesh.
No, they are still youth all over.
Students can overthrow a government. I'm saying that they want us to believe that the CIA wasn't involved in Bangladesh. That's what I'm saying.
It's okay. Thank you. So,
well, can I say that I'm just sharing my reading of the geopolitical events. It doesn't mean I'm right. So feel free to challenge me. That's what these meetings are for. It's for us to have strife. Let's have strife in thoughts so that we can come up with better thinking. It's fine. Thank you. I'm going to stop I'm going to stop my thing now. If you haven't already done it for me.
No, I've done it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I will be very brief based on time, just to give some few things in regards to Kenya. And thank you for giving that aspect of Bangladesh. I know we'll be having an open conversation just later. Now, I'll start with this poster here. That Ruto is the IMF village elder in Kenya. That's a poster from a young person in the street saying that Ruto is the IMF village elder in Kenya. That shows you to the level that the young people are conscious that even as much as they're fighting the struggle here for Ruto, they know that there's somebody behind Ruto who is pushing for these things. And you see, we call them the neo-colonialists, the powers of the West who are trying to take over domination in Kenya. So my name, of course, is Pidgin Odimengu. I'm part of Conscious and Study Group as the co-chair. So I'll be doing few issues in the discuss the causes of the protest, the impact of the protest, the way forward, and the key players in this protest. That's basically what I'll be looking at, and then we can analyze it on a philosophical and ideological context. Now, causes of the protest. There are political unrest, economic challenges, and social injustice, which are part of this protest. Political unrest, of course, there's a lot that's been going on in the political field, especially by majority of the politicians who are appointed to the government, who then became more of proud enough to show us that they have a watch that is worth 10 million when they don't have something to eat. They show us they have shoes, they're putting on shoes worth millions of money in Kenyan context. And also the politicians who decided to pass the bill in the parliament in the recent setup, who voted for this bill, and they were voting and actually speaking to us in a manner that they were so feeling like there's nothing we can do to them. They say they had to pass it and they're proud of passing such bill. Because you must realize that the finance bill in Kenya became the trigger. But this is an historical issue that I'll check later. There's the economic challenge, of course. Taxes that were being proposed in this government, in this finance bill, and even the taxes that were proposed in the previous finance bill of 2023, which I have to report that taxes have already been, in fact, the court even found out that the 2023 finance bill that was introduced and passed, that was also having some serious tax incentives, is also unconstitutional. And the 2024 finance bill that was to be passed also was actually not passed. So basically, the government is using now a 2022 finance bill to run the government, because the two bills now have been found unconstitutional. There's also social injustices with so many inequalities in the society, so many unrest and so many killings and assassination that had been going on with this government, and nobody had wanted even to answer to this. The impact of the protest, of course, there was a disruption of the daily life. Transport could not be moving on. I remember on one of the Thursday when we were going to defend the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, there were no vehicles to the protest. So I had to walk around 17 kilometers just to join the protest. There have been also calls for government accountability that has been successful, trying to put down the issues of the finance bill, and even pushing for government to be accountable in more resources and more issues. This pressure actually led to the government even recalling its all cabinet just to answer to the demands from the people. And there's a lot of issues in accountability. The debt situation in Kenya is an issue. There's a serious corruption in the government, and there's a lot of misuse because we have the Auditor General that gives report. In fact, the latest report that came out in around 3 weeks ago, the Auditor General indicates very well that the government cannot account for 1.1 trillion Kenya shillings debt that is being in the debt record. The government cannot account where they took 1.1 trillion Kenya shillings that they borrowed as debt. They cannot show any project for it. They cannot do anything even to account for it. And also there was international attention, of course, a bit. The protests led to more of IMF sending their statement, the UN, the AU, and we know we sent letters to all of them, including the ICC. So, and the whole international media like Al Jazeera, BBC, and the whole globe knew about this. So everybody now decided to focus on what was really going on in Kenya. The context is on. I'll look at the historical background, of course, understanding the past events here. The protests in Kenya there has been a group of younger people who have managed actually to cause protests in this country, starting from the late 1976 when one of the ministers was killed, actually Pio Gamapinto, who was an Indian origin in Kenya. The University of Nairobi and the students came out in protest in 1976. There was a serious killing of people, and it was believed that he was assassinated by the state. In 1984 and 82, there was also a coup attempt in Kenya, and most of the student leaders from the university and the University of Nairobi and the University of Kenyatta, who are very close within the city, also participated in this. In 1992, the repeal of Section 2A constitutional event, there was also what is termed in Kenya as the second liberation that involved the younger people in the politics, and also the older people and the clergy and the churches came in. In 2005, during the referendum for the constitution, there was a serious university outbreak, and young people from the university participated in this. One of the lecturer who was actually the crafters of the constitution in 2005 was killed, and he was from my village. He was called Dr. Crispinus of Mumbai, and the university students rioted all over for this. So there's been a lot of historical protests in the country, including even the after-election protest, which is post-election protest to protest against the results of elections that has been going on from 2007, which led to killing of so many Kenyans. Over thousands of Kenyans were killed. This current President William Ruto was taken to ICC. There were also protests in 2018 and 2017 after the election. There were protests in 2023 when the cost of living moved higher a bit, and now there was protests in 2024. So on social factors, of course, there's an issue of people getting to understand the constitution better and trying to understand actually what politics is all about, where the politicians lie to them, what should be done by the political class. That consciousness has increased a lot, and many people are so conscious. Even people know that President Ruto is having some rare HIV disease that they call it is a blood disease. And they will say every day, you see now he's very thin. He's going to out there in the presence of foreign troops, but he's going to maybe replenish his blood. And people even know in the public that will help him come out of those situations. So you see, there's a lot of information that is in the public, whether they are true or rumors, but the many public citizens in Kenya are aware of so much that's going on in this country. So as I've said, of course, there were issues of corruption as part of the causes of this. And there was also issues, of course, electoral injustice. This actually electoral irregularity came out in 2022 when the opposition still insists that President Ruto presidency was actually rigged in. As one of the person who was a part of the presidential aspirant, I can clearly confirm to this that there was actually evidence of the CIA and the West actually interfering in the election in 2022 in favor of President William Ruto. And William Ruto, up to date, has refused to open the servers for the results. So people actually have issues also with the electoral system because people don't believe that the people they want to be leaders will actually be the leaders. So the system will always choose their people. This is all over from the members of parliament and all up there. People believe that the system is so rigged and that even there is no trust in the political system at all. They don't feel like it can give them the right results and that it will always be compromised. So, of course, there is also economic aspect, which include, of course, unemployment. There's high rate of unemployment in Kenya, especially among the young people. The literacy level in Kenya is being believed to be around 92%. So with a 92% literacy level, of course, they're saying the poverty rate is 15%, which they use the index of world index of people who live below $2 per day. But the majority of graduates in Kenya were jobless. Majority of them who don't have anything. In fact, they have invested up to degree level. And this is leading also to poverty because the cost of educating a student from primary to degree level is very expensive. It takes a lot from the community. The minimum you can spend is around $40,000 just to educate a kid from all the process. And then that, after you take all of that from the community, these young people come from the university, they don't have any job, they are so frustrated and they cannot help the community. So this is part of the issues that are actually causing this hardship in Kenya. The inflation, as I've said, of course, the cost of basic goods have been moving. In fact, in the finance bill, they were even attempting to tax things to do with sanitary pads for women. They were taxing things with the pampers for young kids. They wanted to tax issue the digital content creation, and that's why the young people came out in large number. Because now the government has failed to employ the young people. The young people are getting opportunity from the digital space. People are doing TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and government want to come again to tax them. So people don't feel like government is doing any effort to help them, but it's after taxing them and making their life very hard. There was also taxation on bread and basic commodities. So these are some of the few issues that are actually causing the protest to go on. And the key players in this protest include, of course, the president, because he's the one who went to IMF to borrow money, and he's the one who keep on borrowing every day. In fact, he has made so many trips, over 63 trips in less than 2 years. And you wonder, he's spending a lot of our money. The recent trip is the one he went to US, where he spent 220 million Kenya shillings to hire a private jet to take him to US with a group of so many people out there. And this caused a lot of people to be very actually frustrated. The police forces are also responsible here because look how they use the state apparatus. In fact, I was in the street on Thursday. Was it on Thursday? No, it was, yeah, I think it was on Thursday. I was really tear gassed. I was joining the protest. In fact, I was tear gassed to an extent that I could not be breathing well. But beyond this, there are so many young people who have been kidnapped, found in quarries, killed, and so many things have been done to them. So I'm lucky enough that I only got tear gas. There are so many of my friends whom I don't know where they are, who are either incriminated, who are thrown in the forest, who are either thrown in quarries, dumped all over. People have gone through serious tortures under the hands of the police. The ministers of the government are also involved here. Oh, then the government decided to actually overhaul the ministries and the cabinet, reshuffle. In fact, it was like a reshuffle because they fired them and brought some of them back. Some were taken to ambassadorial work. And these are the people who are speaking with the chest thumping as if the government is theirs. In fact, the deputy president said that the government is of shareholders, and those who don't have shares are not part of the government. So these are key players in this. Of course, there have been civil society who have been involved in this. Human Rights Watch has been involved in this, advocating and highlighting the plights of the human rights abuses in Kenya. Of course, Amnesty has also been coming in, try to expose the police brutalities. There have been international media who have also been engaged, and local media exposing this. And also the Kenya Human Rights Commission has also been sending a lot of this. They're documenting issues to do with the people who were killed. They're taking legal actions and petitions in court. So a lot of people are trying to do their part to try to push for accountability in Kenyan context. So the protesters, of course, involved the young people, especially in this protest. In the previous protest, the opposition leaders were very active in 2023, but this one was the young people. Of course, the political class tried to come in a bit, but they were stopped by the young people. There have been, of course, civil society, and the government have been accusing civil societies, the NGOs. The government listed around 11 NGOs, but the government was also accusing Ford Foundation, which is based in US, for funding this protest. Just today, they came also to arrest. Yesterday, they arrested one of the billionaires in this country. They went to his home, but they couldn't find him. They were claiming that he was behind the protest, financing the protest. They have also been accusing the former president being behind the protest. They were even accusing the deputy president in this government as having sponsored this protest. But generally, there have been waves of also civil unrest in the protest, which started peaceful by the young people from the streets on the universities, to now people who have also gone to the street just to loot and take other people's property. So all these are people or characters that are playing. The opposition leaders are still coming in. Like now, when we were in the street, the opposition leader decided to join the government in a very stupid move, to join forces with the government and even propose some of his opposition leaders to be appointed. And the recent appointment of the ministers, now the opposition have been given position in ministerial work, including the chairperson of the opposition party, the deputy party leaders of the opposition party, the minority leader in the parliament has crossed over to be a minister in the government. So these are people who have also frustrated us a lot, and have been playing part in this protest. Now, there's been, of course, economic impact in terms of low turnout of businesses and businesses closing. There's also been increased tension and division within different factions of the community. Many of the politicians who voted for the finance bill, the members of parliament, their homes were tortured and burned. Their businesses were looted. In fact, their supermarkets were looted. And some of them were even beaten by the people. People decided to beat politicians where they found them. Some were chased away from the burials where they wanted to address the people. So there's a lot that has been going on in the community level. And of course, as I've said, the shops have been closed. Of course, people are running away. There's a project we were running in Kenya. We wanted to run in Kenya for Africa, for Haiti, of course, in football match. Many of the people who wanted to participate are now saying that they cannot participate in Kenya because of insecurity in Kenya. There have been travel advisory from international community. People don't want to come to Kenya. And all these are some of the consequences of the protest. On the way forward, of course, there's a need for still peaceful demonstration. And the people have always been peaceful, but the police officers are becoming violent. Like when I was in the street the other day on Thursday, it's the police officers who are tear gassing us. We never heard anything harmful enough. We were carrying just placards and our smartphone. But the police officers or the people are rioting and becoming violent as they throw tear gas, use live bullets on us. So the peaceful demonstration also actually has to be pushed by the government. The government apparatus has to be peaceful enough to counter peaceful young people. Of course, I've been talking of dialogues between the stakeholders, and we are thinking of the government has been calling for dialogue. But we don't trust the government because now the opposition leader crossed over to the government asking for dialogue. But we really don't trust it. But we believe the younger people and the various progressive movements need to have a dialogue and a conversation to have a common way forward. We need to facilitate, of course, open discussion within the community. And there's been a lot going on in Twitter space, the X space, where the people of Kenya have been educated enough, having civic education going on. Lawyers have been coming, the researchers have been coming, professors of law have been coming, and some of the Twitter spaces, like even now, you will find there's a Twitter space going on with 130,000 people attending as a get to get civic education. We also need, of course, collaborative efforts to implement various progressive efforts we are taking in place, working with various people and various grouping, both locally and internationally. So basically, that will be part of my presentation. Thank you very much. Back to you, Brother Kwani. Brother Kwani? Okay. Brother Kwani seems not to be active, but I'm seeing is we all this on. I'll then open up the floor for members who would like to share their comments in regards to asking questions. But also, our key concern is what do you propose out of this situation? What is the common way forward for us to move as a people? Because I know there's an element of we needed to discuss Nigerian girls or people haven't attended to this, but we hope we'll have to discuss this. But the situation is not that very different. It's almost the same situation that is bringing us up and to rally for a call for change and liberation. So we are actually eager towards what must be done. Out of the studies and experience, what do you think must be done in order to push this struggle forward? This is the beginning. It's not the end. It's actually the beginning of a progressive move moving forward. So that's what we'll be interested in to hear comments and experience and actually advices on the way forward. Brother Kwame, are you back? Okay. Brother Kwame is still not yet back. So, Brother Kwame?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am being sabotaged again, as you know, happens to me. Some of us have been watched, but anyway, can you put my video on? Because I've tried all I can, but I can't see the video. Can you put it on? Let me see.
Okay, I'll put it on. But you're the host.
No. Yeah, I know. But I tried it. Even as host, I still can't do it. And I'm wondering why that is the case.
I'm no longer having right of host. I'm now just a member.
Okay. Hold on. Let me just give you the host so you can do it for me, because I want to. Yeah, carry on.
Okay. And there have been people who have been on the waiting bay. Let me admit them.
Okay.
So, okay, you can. Let me make you host first. Okay, can you be able now to start your video?
Yeah, so it's okay. My video doesn't appear to be. Suddenly, my video has stopped working because I'm talking about the CIA. So my video has stopped working. Anyway, can I thank you for Brother Pigeon. Thank you for your. Let me just make you co-host for now. Yes, sir. Yeah, Brother Pigeon. Thank you for your presentation on Kenya. I would like us to go into discussion. However, we can't go into discussion without mentioning Nigeria. As you know, Nigeria has had 10 days of protests, and I started from the first, and I think today is the last day. It was for 10 days, and I want to share one slide on what the issues are on the Nigerian matter. We will maybe next week look at this matter in depth, in the same way as we've looked at the question of Kenya in depth, like Brother Pigeon has done, and as I have done for Bangladesh. So there are slides prepared for Nigeria, but we can't share them all today. So I'm sharing one slide. This is a slide that is talking about the standard of the cost of living in Nigeria, why the protests are going on. The average salary, these figures are subject to correction because they are average figures across a federal nation. So there are differences in terms of salaries from the north to the south, east to west. If you are working in formal sector, they vary so much, but this is the average across the entire Nigeria. The average salary is 60,000 naira, which is $78 a month, which is 63 pounds a month. Yeah, the average salary in the UK, the average in England anyway, is 26,000 pounds. So if you break it down, we are talking about just over £1,000 a month. Yeah, more than £1,000 a month, if you like, or about £2,000 a month. Because 12 times 6 is 24. So about 2,000. But in Nigeria, it's 63 pounds a month. But the average expenses for the average Nigerian family is 442,000 naira and 56 kobo. Yeah, so you have 60,000 salary and 442,000 naira in expenses, which works out to $574 per month, or 430 pounds 97 a month in pounds. So there's this discrepancy, is that Nigerians are having to look for 382,000 because their salary only covers under 14% of their expenses. You see? So that is what the Nigerian youth or young people or workers are crying out for. This is why they are on strike, because it's too much. Thank you. So I want to share that slide only, and then we continue the discussion. Thank you. Right. So the floor is now opened for comments, questions, discussions, whatever you like. Thank you. Who would like to go first?
Yeah, hey, comrades, can you?
Yeah. Brother, is it Igunzi?
Yeah, Igunzi, that's how we pronounce that.
Igunzi. Where are you joining us from?
Yeah, I'm from DRC, Congo, and Kinshasa especially. Yeah.
Ah, because your name is familiar. Yeah. Anyway, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you for the floor. Africa is one, so unity. We've been living in harmony, and our names are a proto language, one language. And so I would like to congratulate the team for, thank you for the presentation on Bangladesh and Kenya. This is really helpful. And from this presentation, I understood how American imperialism and capitalism works by helping some nations to control and to attack other nations the way you presented Bangladesh, China, India, and all these nations. That's USA uses domination hegemony to control. So we Africans, for example, in Congo, the the Congolese people, they are African people, and all the oppressed people of the world need to understand the strategies and these tactics that they use in order to maintain us under oppression exploitation. So for me, the methodology is quite simple, and we need to mobilize to educate the masses. I like the ideology and philosophy that we are using, conscientism. We need to raise the awareness of all oppressed people, especially young people. The situation in Congo, Eastern Congo, is quite the same. They want to maintain us under, poverty, under, unconsciousness, because the people they put on power, they collaborate with authorities who are not aware, who are not able to bring about actions, to bring about activities that will help people to live in peace, to live in harmony, as far as economy, politics, social, social needs are concerned. This is the same situation. So it was a great opportunity for me to know what is happening in Bangladesh. I remember I attended yesterday let's say a religious exchange discussion on and between Americans who were involved in. They wanted to know what is happening in Bangladesh. I said, why are they interested in knowing the situation in Bangladesh? They work with some religious leaders, and also for us, like Karl Marx said, that religious sometimes is the opium of the people. They want to distract people. So we should use all these strategies as far as science is concerned and try to mobilize to tell the truth, the reality to the people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Igunzi. Sorry, Igunzi, for sharing your thoughts with us. Let's. Who would like to speak next? If not, I'll start calling us in the order we are appearing on the screen. So let's go to a sister, Sister Shaza. What do you think? Is what you have heard so far filled you with confidence that Africa will unite soon? Or do you think we are far away from uniting? What do you think? Okay, Sister Shaza is not ready, so let's go to Sister Myra. Come, Sister Shaza later. Sister Shaza later, yeah. Sister Myra, what do you think?
Thank you for that, presenters. It was really very, very informational. What's the right word? Anyway, I want to reiterate what the last brother said about awakening the youth and empowering them. And I liked Brother Kwame what he said. I didn't know about the study groups that existed in the 60s and 50s.
Hey, they were everywhere. The current president of Ghana was a member of NASU. He's now in the right-wing party. They were everywhere across the continent. And the inspiration came from Marcus Garvey, because remember Nkrumah's inspiration was Marcus Garvey. And in Marcus Garvey's Philosophy and Opinions, if you read it, he tells us that you have a book with you all the time. If you have 5 minutes, read it. If you're at work and you have small break, read it, and so on. So yeah, so education was a big thing for us. It's a big thing for us. Not formal education, I mean, although that is important, but ideological education. It was so important that Nkrumah set up an institute called the Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute in Winneba in Ghana. And the purpose was, again, what we are talking about, ideological education. So yeah, it was a big thing. Our parents were in schools. It was just, I mean, Africa was mobilized, put it that way. You know, where the leaders were progressives anyway, not everywhere.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
no, they were everywhere. Study groups, and we need to bring back Brother Stewart. I don't know if he's still here with us, but we need to bring back these study groups. They have to be everywhere.
I'm thinking, like in my home country, if the youth were with knowledge, because I'm always putting my ear out to understand what they're talking about, what they're thinking, and it's nothing that will serve them or help us. And let me, I'm also Ugandan, so I'll include myself. But I think if they had the knowledge and the ideology, the ideological foundation, their eyes would start to open, their minds would start to open. So I'm thinking, as Pan-Africanist, perhaps that's an effort that we can get behind, because one, it's cost effective. We don't have to build schools. There's Zoom these days. There's a lot of books that are available in PDF format that can be shared. So perhaps that's something that we could seriously think about.
Yeah, Sister Mara, I don't know if you remember, but Sister Ida is also here, so she can remind us if we've forgotten that. One of the reasons we decided to have our own Zoom account and have new sessions, which is how the Saturday session started, if you recall, was because we wanted a separate session for the youth. Because the youth are not making themselves available in these study groups. You know, universities, as far as I know, I mean, in the UK here, we have student black groups, African student groups.
All right, okay.
We have them in the UK. They are part of the student union, you know.
Right.
But when the whole session is to have a dance and, you know, to have a beauty contest, those sort of things. Yeah, they are for social events. They don't need to study. They don't need to do an analysis of where the African Caribbean is or where Kenya is. No, they don't do those kind of analysis. You know.
But I think we could build on what Brother
Music
Sam
and I'm
and
black
Brother
and
Stuart.
proud and that kind of thing. Yeah.
We could build on what Brother Sam and Brother Stuart talked about on the continent and expand that and support them in any way that we can.
Yeah. So Sister Mara, we are hoping that because one of the big developments we had, if you remember, was about
Looks like we've lost.
Yeah, it's lost once again. Let's move to the next person who wants to share some input with us before we come to an end. Anybody? Let me check the hands up. Oh, let me check. Anybody? Okay. But that's fine. Oh, Eldagnari. Let's go to Eldagnari. Eldagnari, start us off first.
Yeah, I was going to ask that I thought there would have been more information about the trade union role in Nigeria. After all, I wonder what specific demands that the trade union had put forward in that regard. And in regard to Kenya and funds being unaccountable or accounted for, surely conditions that are put with lenders or loans, the lenders ought to be asking questions as well. I just wondered if there any update on that. But is there any, is Kwame dropped off? Is there any information on the Nigerian demands by the trade union? Thank you.
Oh, Brother Kwame, you can answer to that. Is there any demand by the trade union from Nigeria?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we shall address the trade union part of the Nigerian matter next week, Brother Glenroy. Because of the other presentation, we couldn't deal with that. In fact, I have a whole slide down on their demands and what has been met, what hasn't been met. So I have all that. But because of the sheer amount of information we had today, we've had to. I only shared one slide, and then we'll share the rest next week. And hopefully we will also then talk about the trade union movement. Thank you.
Okay, brother. Our brother from South Africa. Somlalo.
Nkululeko.
Nkululeko.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Thank you, comrades. Very interesting session here, especially in terms of updating us on what is on the current developments in across Africa. It's my first time in this session. I don't know whether they've been going on for some time. I picked it up on a geopolitical channel that we have with the AAPRP. My input would be to say it's actually very encouraging to see that there is movement and developments across the continent, whether it's from the youth sections or wherever they come from. My area of interest is to say, in our analysis, we have, for instance, here in occupied Tanzania, I heard somebody referring to Julius Malema here and the kind of work that he's doing and the kind of talk and the educating the young people. I must say that is we admire what is happening from their angle. A lot of them in that formation that is EFF are from PASO, Pan-African Student Organization, and PASMA, and some of the PAC formations and Black consciousness formations that are here. But for some reason, they will gravitate towards the EFF. Now, they are carrying on in the tradition. I'm a product of those Black consciousness movements in the 70s, where we were mobilized at high school and then I ended up very quickly joining the PAC in 1977. And, guided by the elderly people, not just being the young person like you have in the Generation Z. And I must say, even the June 76 uprising, much as it was activism of the youth, it was actually engineered behind the scenes by the parent communities, the Uncle Zeph, Mutopengs, a lot of other people that were there, the Winnie Mandelas of this world, especially the PAC and Black consciousness people. Now, the Pan-Africanist Congress of Tanzania. Now, the reason why I'm sketching this background is that with these uprisings or these protest actions, the question is, what happens after the protest action? What happens when are we organized for the next level of the revolution? Are the young people, if this revolution is led by young people, are they ready? What do they need to have in place so that they protect the gains of the revolution, because the enemy will allow this protest to carry on until they die down, like it has happened elsewhere all over the world. But then the question is, as Africanists, as Pan-Africanists here, and then platforms like this one, what guidance is being given to the young people, or how is the revolution going?
The answer to brother Nkululeko, the answer to your question is that it is ongoing. Zandu, if you take the Kenya situation, for instance, we have raised this matter here, and I've asked our brother who is based in Kenya, what do the youth want? You know, well, they want this and that. Yes, we know what they want, but beyond what they want, what kind of Kenya do they want? And who do they think will run the kind of Kenya they want? I mean, if I may use this example from the jungle, the deer can't just say, I don't want the lion. I don't want the lion to be the king in the jungle. But if you don't want the lion to be the king in the jungle, then deers must organize themselves to run the jungle. Otherwise, the lion will continue to run the jungle. So a lot of the young people are saying, well, they don't want this, they don't want that, they don't want that. But what is it? What replacement do you have? We've asked our brother here, and we've asked other brothers, we've asked sisters, and we haven't heard anything. My thinking is that the youth should immediately set up a shadow government. They must set up their alternative government. Because running a country is not easy. You can't just running a country is not easy. So they have to learn to run a country. The Nkrumahs never ran a country before they became prime ministers and presidents. They never ran a country before. But they were thrust into office and they had to learn on the job. Our brothers and sisters, our young people have the chance to take on those roles as shadow presidents. They have to have confidence in themselves to say, I am not the president of Kenya, and this is how I will run Kenya. I hold mock parliaments. You understand? They have to. So anyway, so to cut a long story short, young people, Kenya is just an example, by the way. Ghana is the same, Gambia is the same, Burkina Faso is the same, Mali is the same. It's not enough for the soldiers to be running the country, as in Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso. It's not enough. Soldiers are not trained to run governments. They are trained to secure property and life and to patrol borders and to keep the country safe. And so that is their job. They're not trained to run a government. You see, so to cut a long story short, brother in Kukuleko, the young people, we must encourage them to begin to constitute themselves as governments, alternative governments, progressive governments, ready to run the state. And they can't just take over the neo-colonial state. It won't work. They will have to take on a revolutionary state. The state will have to be different because this state is very vicious. The states we have, and in South Africa, you are witnesses. They even turn on their own. The guy who was in charge of the Home Affairs, when South Africans are screaming that this lady is not Nigerian, is not South African, she's Nigerian, what did they do? Oh, her mother committed fraud. You see, so they are pouring petrol into the fire.
No. Thank you for comrade. Sorry,
and that is the kind of states we have. So
thank you for your response. Yes, you are correct. But the point I was getting to is that it's not only in Kenya. Maybe you might find that in Kenya even.
It's just an example. I agree. Yes.
Yeah. They might be better organized even in Kenya. Look, the case we are actually raising on Occupy Tanzania is that the noise that is being made by the youth in Occupy Tanzania is inconsequential. With those Julius Malema and everybody, they are in parliament. They are part of the arrangement that sustains the neo-colonial state in Occupy Tanzania, or the neoliberal state. And by their own admission, there needs to be more action beyond that, because you cannot rely on this 5-year terms of their so-called democracy and think that things are going to change. Things are getting worse. We've got a government of national unity, so-called, here in Occupy Tanzania, which is which is actually bringing back white supremacy into government, into ruling the country. But of course, their power was never really taken away. If you look at from the economic sense, they were never really overthrown in terms of us taking the economy away from them. And that's the case across Africa. Now, the point I'm making is here, we admire and welcome what is happening. There's a movement forward in terms of the revolution, but are we going far enough? I'm happy you commented about Burkina Faso, because Burkina Faso and the Niger and Mali, those are case studies of what do we need to do to expel white supremacy from our state functions, and introduce what is ours. And I think Traore is doing a sterling job if whatever he's doing is genuine. But the point I'm making is that we need to elevate our activism to even confront the future, not necessarily relying on democracy, but making sure that in line with what Nkrumah says in this revolutionary handbook, we consolidate and we protect our victories and our gains. Thank you, comrades.
Yeah, Brother Nkukuleku, thank you very much. You will be our last speaker. So that is the end of our session for today. Brother Pigeon, announcements, and then we can, that's it. So thank you all for coming. Brother Pigeon, announcements.
Yeah, Brother Kwame, sorry for all members who might have been cut short for not sharing their thinking, but I think as it has been indicated.
Brother Pigeon, we did say who wants to speak. Nobody didn't raise their hand, so it's not.
Yeah, it's also past our time, of course. We do not always extend, and we are going to pick up this conversation next week. We are continuing with also getting to Nigeria and further into this. I think we'll still have more sessions on this as we try to analyze and come up with a robust way forward. So thank you for those who have contributed, those who have attended.
Okay, I just want to chip in something small, please. Sorry. This is actually a help that I need. There is a park that we train on here in Medina, Accra, Ghana. And this park has been in our possession for 40 years. Aviation land, I think, brother, I've forgotten the name, say.
Kwame.
Brother Kwame will know about that land, the aviation land, the one closer to Adenta. So there is this man called Clement Jato who just came and claimed the land that belongs to him. And the pitch on which we play, he has poured about 13 pieces, strips of chippings on it. So we are actually gathering a petition. We've done a petition, so I will need the help so that we can sign it, so that we can claim the land back. Because if you take a look at the whole neighborhood, we don't have any pitch aside that one. So I just want to plead on your behalf. I beg you guys to help me out, or the young ones out rather.
Yeah. So if you let us know how you want us to assist, then we will definitely get in touch with Brother Pigeon, and let's see what we can do.
Okay. Thank you very much.
There are a lot of experienced demonstrators here who organize. But Glenroy is very experienced in these things as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. So we are having our next Thursday session on our main class. To those who have joined us today, we have a main class on Thursday where we study the philosophy. This book by Kwame Nkrumah called Consciousness. We actually studied page by page, paragraph by paragraph, and we've been doing this for a period of time. And we request members who want to join this. If you got our contact for the first time, Kelly, feel free to get in touch with me. I think I'll have to share my contact very fast. Brother Kwame, if you can share contacts as we end up, because I have few people have joined. And we'll get in touch so that I can add you in our broadcast list.
Do you mean the CSG contact?
Yeah, where would they? Because I see there's few members who join either from outside link, but if they can still use the link, let them get in touch so that I can add them to be our broadcast list to get updates of our Thursday class on philosophy and
Yeah, so
ideology.
my question is, do you want me to share the link in the chat now? Is that what you're asking me to do?
Just share the contact so that I can add them to the broadcast list.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so please get in touch. We have been doing our main study for some time now, and we have never missed any Thursday, every day and any Saturday. This is where we draw the study and understanding and looking at the continent in a critical and conscious way where we share our thinking based on the text. So feel free to join us every Thursday. And next Saturday, we'll go on to this, but there's also something we'll be looking on in the other Saturday by Sister Chisomo. We'll be having a presentation in line to that. But next Saturday, we'll move to Nigeria, and we'll also expand this conversation to next time. So our recordings will be available on Monday for this session, for those who will not be able to join us today or those who want to listen to our recording. And we have over 120 past recording on our YouTube channel for any session we've held in the past 1 or 2 years. And you are free to check on our YouTube channel, which we can also share the link is Conscious in Study Group. And there you'll get everything in regards to this. In case of anything, we engage also on research, we engage on some presentation. We are working on Pan-African different technical working groups. We are doing something on Haiti. So there's a lot that we are doing, and feel free to engage us anytime so that together we can move forward to advance the liberation, unification, and development of Africa. Thank you for that and for your time.
Yeah, can I ask Brother Nkukuleko that please, you and Sam are both in PAC, I believe. Please get in touch with us in terms of the work so that we can see how we can share the work and do the work that you mentioned, because you are right, the work needs to be done. Yeah, so thank you very much. Brother Pigeon, I have put the link in the chat for anyone who wants to follow